I got a big what if. Like, what if this thing happened instead of that thing happened, right? So my big what if is in 1998. So Florida State played who? Florida 97, Tennessee 98, and Virginia Tech 99, right?
Yep.
Yeah. All right. So my big thing is, let's say Florida State, let's say Chris Winkie doesn't get hurt. He doesn't hurt his neck. We beat Tennessee, right? For national championship. Easily, right? Beat Tennessee. And Peter Warrick decides to come out and go to the draft, right?
Right.
So Peter Warrick decided to go out kind of draft. Does he get drafted over Torrey Holt? Which I think he would have, right? I think he would have got drafted over Torrey Holt. And if he gets drafted over Torrey Holt, does Peter Warrick become a Hall of Fame receiver?
So,
hold on. Before you go. Torrey Holt was a damn good wide receiver in college.
That's what I was gonna say. I don't know if he gets drafted over Torrey Holt.
I think that's where it gets. That's the piece that it's gonna be difficult for me to kind of.
5 touchdowns against Florida State.
Oh no, I remember that game. I remember like it was I remember that game like it was yesterday. I was like, I didn't know this cat before coming into the season, but at the end of that game, I was like, okay, so we ain't got nobody who can guard him. Got it. Okay, got it.
Torrey Holt was faster than Peter Warrick. Peter Warrick was not straight line fast.
Ooh, Peter Warrick was straight line fast, but Peter Warrick was straight line fast. I watched them highlights again. You realize he was straight line fast. He just also was shifty.
Nah, bro.
He was one of the most shifty players I've ever seen in my life.
He wasn't that straight line fast guy. Like Peter Warrick was like, and that's why you'll see guys catch up.
He wasn't Peter Warrick. He wasn't straight line fast like Torrey Holt.
You're right. I'm saying like he ran like a 4.6 at the combine. Peter Warrick did.
Yeah.
That like usually you want your receivers to run like 4.5. You know, probably.
But he was
4 or 5. 4.6 is a kind of.
Because you touch him but you couldn't touch him in open field, and it didn't matter.
Right.
That was the thing that's made up for it.
Right.
If it was 1-on-1, whoever was on defense was going to lose.
First of all, this is not a Peter Warrick bashing session. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Not bashing Peter Warrick.
Listen, you already know my favorite player. I get defensive with Peter Warrick. Peter Warrick was my all-time favorite Seminole. Period.
But my question is, do the St. Louis Rams take Peter Warrick instead of Torrey Holt with the number 6? Because it was the number 6 pick, and it'd have been out of Peter Warrick and Torrey Holt.
I say if they do, right? Because we're doing what else. If they do, you put Peter in that offense, and I think it's simple. He does the same thing.
That's one of the first spread offenses.
Right. You put him in that. You put him in that system, and it's over with. It's college. It's college all over again. It looked like what he was doing. It'll look very similar to what he does in college. And I think you just flip flop Torreys. But see, here's the thing. The difference is Peter Warrick had to go to a perfect situation to be successful. Right. I think Torrey Holt was going to be successful regardless. Right. Torrey Holt was more successful because he was in that offense.
Right.
But I think you would have put him anywhere on anybody's team, and Torrey was going to ball out because Torrey was different. But I think you put Peter Warrick specifically in that St. Louis Rams. Oh man, it's over with in my opinion.
I mean, because if you think about it, the St. Louis Rams had Marshall Faulk. They had Isaac Bruce. The wide receiver Azir Hakeem. So Peter Warrick actually wouldn't have, and they had Ricky Poole too. Ricky Poole was a pretty good wide receiver also.
He wouldn't have been. Yeah, he wouldn't have been one.
He wouldn't have been one. I think the fact that he went to Cincinnati, he had to be a number 1, and they played a strictly pro style 2 wide receiver, run the football downhill type situation.
It wasn't his game. Yeah,
it wasn't his game. But if you'd have played him with the St. Louis Rams, I think Peter Warrick actually becomes. I don't know if he becomes a Hall of Famer, but I think he have a damn good 10-year career.
Yeah, I was gonna say he has a much longer career as a number 2 or 3 option for somebody, because he would have gave you a whole lot on punt return too. See, the reason why they couldn't use Peter Warrick on special teams because he was your number 1 wide receiver. Right. And I thought where Peter Warrick would have been even more, would have been super special is on special teams. I don't think they had Peter play special teams until like maybe the 3rd or 4th year when he wasn't really working out as a number 1 wide receiver on offense. Then it was like, all right, well, let's try. You know what I mean? Let's utilize some of his talents. Right. But my thing was, I think if you had drafted Peter Warrick in St. Louis, like you say, he wouldn't have been a number 1. He would have been like 2 or 3. Right. And so a 2 or 3 receiver, you can absolutely put a punt return from day 1.
Right.
Now you are already getting dividends. He would have played, he'd have played 10 years just as a special team alone, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
So now I think you put him in as special teams. He also catches everything. He makes some plays on offense. And I look at it and I say, that man has a career very similar to, I mean, he don't have cheetah speed, but I think it's very similar. You know what I mean? When you tell him you can, because with all those weapons in Kansas City, when you add that another
St. Louis.
No. I'm talking about Kansas City. I'm talking about cheetah. Like I'm saying, it's a similar situation.
Okay.
I think he would have been the prototype, I think, for what the cheetah is doing now. You know what I'm saying? Like, in other words, you got Kelsey over there, you have a decent running game. You look at everything, you say, all right, now I got this as basically what is called just a luxury speed guy. Right. Luxury speed playmaker who I can get the ball to in space and he can make something happen with it. And I think that's the role Peter Warrick would have played in St. Louis.
Right. I think Peter Warrick ends up close to the Hall of Fame. I think he has a good 10-year career, and I think we look at his NFL career differently. Because if you think about it, he was starting to get better when Chad Johnson got to Cincinnati. Remember?
Well, that's the thing I never understand, right? Because I agree with you. He started to get really, really good when he became the number 2 option. Right. Him and Peter and Chad did a really good 1-2 combination. And then at that point, they gave up on him. And I was like, I don't understand. Like, and I don't think he ever found a system that fit him. Like, he never, like, man, I always say NFL is very tricky because you look at Leonard Fournette in Jacksonville. He wasn't good in Jacksonville at all, but I didn't think he was a bad running back. I thought he was a bad running back but it looks like it was more Jacksonville than it was Leonard because we saw Leonard go with Tom Brady.
But he was a top 10 back the year they went to the playoffs, though.
He always still got ran down by linebackers, and I never understood.
He wasn't fast, but I'm saying he was a top 10.
NFL running back shouldn't get run down by linebackers, though.
Linebackers are pretty damn fast in the NFL nowadays, bro. You see what Devin White? You see how athletic Devin White is, bro?
You talking about one of the rare linebackers? I'm saying most running backs,
Miles Jack.
Most running backs do not get run down by linebackers. Not even Miles Jack and Devin White.
All the Pittsburgh linebackers.
All right, I'm not going on this Leonard Fournette. I'm not going on this Leonard Fournette.
There's Butler from the Colts.
Listen, all the linebackers are fast. It's the NFL. They all fast. What I'm saying is running backs do not get run down by linebackers. They just don't. It's very look at how many times you seen what's the boy from Panthers get run down by a linebacker?
Christian McCaffrey.
Christian McCaffrey don't get run down by linebackers.
Christian McCaffrey is fast though.
My point exactly.
He's fast. Anyway, I ain't gonna get into all that. Leonard was saying all this to say
Leonard was a good
back. He just should have been drafted that high. If you draft Leonard at the back end of the first round, it's a good pick. But when you draft,
it still would have been a good pick. I just think it was a bad fit. Like I think that's what I'm saying. What I was saying, like I was translating it to Peter Warrick. Man, there are certain teams I don't think fully understand their fit sometimes. Okay, we need a running back. Jacksonville, we need a running back, so therefore we're gonna draft Leonard Fournette because we need one. Right. And so then we grab because he was technically the best back, but not really understanding he don't fit what we're trying to do here, which is why you swap out Leonard Fournette for Robinson.
Robinson. Oh yeah.
Robinson running back right for Jaguars, right?
Yeah.
And his name Robinson. Yeah. Robinson wasn't highly, but he fits better. And they realized in the camp, we're gonna get rid of Leonard Fournette. And everybody's like, I don't understand why. And matter of fact, I'm gonna get T-Wick credit. T-Wick called me. He said, ain't got nothing to do with Leonard not being good. He said Robinson fits. He fits the scheme, what they're trying to do better than what Fournette did. And you look at it, and it was 100% fact. 100% fact. He absolutely fit what they was doing better than what Leonard was doing. But Leonard then leaves, goes to Tampa Bay, gives him a championship, and plays great because he fit what Tampa Bay was doing better than what. You know what I mean? So it's just, I think you look at these situations, and I think NFL GMs have a lot more.
They've gotten better with this, though. NFL GMs
they have gotten better.
They've gotten better. GMs, back then, I don't even know, bro. Back then, I don't know how they even select the player. Because if you look at some of the bust back then, you'd be like, well, why did you even draft? Like,
why did you draft him? Like, why did you draft him?
John Carter that went to Cincinnati, it made no sense. Like, you look at him run, it's like, what made them think that shit was going to translate to the NFL? Like, it's just a bunch of guys, like even quarterbacks. You watch certain quarterbacks, you be like, well, how did you think that quarterback Like Achilles Smith. I like Achilles Smith, but you look at Achilles Smith in college, and then you look at him translate him to the NFL and what they were trying to do in the NFL. Like,
at that time,
none of that was going to work. Like, it made no sense back then, dude.
I don't think the recruiting departments was as I'm not recruiting, the scouting departments in the NFL was as, I don't want to say advanced as they are now. You know what I'm saying? Like scouting, they've always had scouting departments. I just don't think they was as important.
I think now these scouting departments understand drafting players to a scheme instead of drafting players that's good, lift weights, and are fast, right? Because I think the ideal is I get a fast, strong guy, I can teach him. Mm-hmm. Now they get a strong, fast guy, but they get a guy that fits the system. Like they be like, okay, what fits the system? And I think actually, to be honest with you, I think that's what kind of got Caldwell in trouble. He was drafting good guys, but some of those guys didn't fit the system. Right.
And I think that's why every GM who messes up, that's the, again, I think if you've gotten to the place where you can get drafted in the NFL, you're a good football player.
Right.
Because the percentage is so small, right?
Right.
But I do think you get to these teams and you just don't fit what they trying to do versus what you were trying, you know what I mean? What your skill set is. Like, who is like, doggone it. What's our defense in? The pass rusher got drafted by the Denver Broncos. Yeah, from Jacksonville. So Walker, I don't think fit what they were trying to do in Denver. Yeah. I get it, right? You wanted somebody to spell Von Miller, but him and Von Miller aren't the same style of player.
Right, but he doesn't play that position though. Like he's been having a good career at Denver, but Denver's asking him to be a part of a turbo defensive end package that he comes in. And I mean, and he does what I think DeMarcus Walker gets like 4 or 5 sacks a season.
Right, but I think in a different scheme, you put him in a different team, and I think he's not a scheme player. You can put him in, he can be a legit starter. You know what I'm saying? For somebody. That's just my opinion. I just think I look at teams and I say I don't necessarily understand what they're trying to do or what they're doing. I mean, again, like you said, they've gotten a whole lot better at it. They've gotten a whole lot better at figuring out how players fit into what they're doing and even molding what they're doing to the players, depending on how good you are. Right. But getting back to Peter, I don't think Peter ever should have been drafted as a number 1 wide receiver. That just wasn't him.
Well,
not in the NFL, not the way not the way that they needed him. Yeah, not the way they were playing back then. Like I said, it wasn't today. Oh man, you throw Peter in anybody's offense today, you'd have been,
Right.
Yeah, I know he got to 10 years later, I'd have been, you know what I mean? Not everybody playing college offense. Right, today. But back then it was, running back, 2 tight ends and 2 wide receivers.
But he would have basically went to the first spread offense at the St. Louis Rams.
And that's what would have been so dope about it.
I think he would have I would say that I think he would have been close to a Hall of Famer. I think he'd have been the argument for a Hall of Famer. And I do still think Torrey Holt has a Hall of Fame career. But I think the bigger what if is, does FSU win a national championship in 99? Because I think they win it in 98, but they don't win it. Do they win it in 99? Because do all the defensive players come out the draft then? Do Corey Simon come out? Does Derek Gibson come out and go to the draft and Peter Warrick leaves?
Here's the thing, though.
Because then you probably don't beat Michael Vick in Virginia Tech. You probably don't beat Miami either.
Peter Warrick had 3 touchdowns in that game? Yeah, 1 punt return. Yeah, a punt return and 2 passing touchdowns. And one of them was just a ridiculously sick pass in the field, all sorts of stuff. I don't know if you win it. I don't know if you win it again because Vick was by himself just showing out. You know what I mean? Vick was showing out.
I think Vick wills that team but I don't even know we make it to the national championship though, because I think Miami was on the rise at that time.
You might be right.
Remember 99 Miami? I mean, hold on, let me check this real quick. Because I want to say it was 90. It might have been the 99, might have been the 2000 season that Miami was on the rise.
I can't say they don't make it to the championship.
Do you beat Florida?
I don't know, man. Peter Warrick was such a difference maker, man.
He really was.
That senior, he was easily the Heisman Trophy favorite, and he couldn't get it because of some, controversy stuff. He was by far the best player in college football. It wasn't even close. And I'm saying, yeah, I don't know how you can remove the best player off of college football and tell me you're gonna beat Florida or beat Michael Vick. You know what I mean?
So think about it, dude. You played the Yellow Jackets. They was number 10 team in the country with Joe Hamilton.
Yeah, it had a tough. It would have been tough. He was making all them teams look stupid.
And the Hurricanes, well, you beat the Hurricanes by 10 points. You beat them 31-21.
Yeah, no, you probably don't. Because I guarantee he accounted for 2 touchdowns in that game.
17-14.
You
beat Florida. You beat Florida
right.
30-23.
The margins was too close.
The margins were kind of close, right?
You don't win a championship.
But that team also was kind of bored too, because they would get up on teams early and kind of like relax, and then teams would come back on them. Like that happened a lot that year.
Yeah,
they would get bored. I mean, it was really dominant. So, but I wonder. I don't think the offense. I think the offense would have been fine, right? Because I think you'd have got Chris Winkie back. I think Snoop would have stepped up. You had really good receivers already. But I think the problem would have been if Peter Warrick leaves, does Corey Simon leave? Does some of them linebackers leave? Brian Allen and Polly, like, does some of those guys not come back? Derek Gibson, does he come back? Because if they leave, then yeah, you might be in some trouble there.
Yeah, see, and that's the thing, right? I don't know.
That's a big what if, though.
It is. Because see, what I'm thinking about is, do they? As much as I respect Snoop, I don't know if Snoop was enough to. I know you say he would have stepped up because he would have had to. I don't know if Snoop would have been able to fill those shoes, man. Those are big shoes to fill.
Remember they had another punt returner for Florida State. My boy, what's his name? Reggie Jackson, I think his name was.
Peter.
I know Peter was different though.
Like I'm telling you, and this is me fanning out, but I'm gonna tell you, I could look at Peter and see how he swaggered to the back there to the punt return and be like, oh, he taking this into the house. He's gonna take this into the house. Like you would look at him and see how he was going to, you know what I mean, how he would swagger on and be like, oh no, he's gonna take this one. He's gonna take this one. And sure enough, he'd get out there and he'd take it. Like he played with guys a lot. Like it wasn't every time you knew he was gonna take it. But I'm telling you, sometimes you could look back there and you knew, all right, we need to play. And he knew we needed to play. Mm-hmm. Offense don't kind of, you know what I mean, struggled a little bit or whatever. We ain't scoring a few possessions. And he just kind of swagger on back there, and you'd be like, "Oh, he finna take this into the house," and he would. Like, I don't think that's replace. I don't think you replace that. I think he's the difference between the championship and not. The same. And what's crazy is I think Hunter might be close to that. Like when it comes to the impact. Okay. I'm telling you, I don't get hyped about recruits. I like Hunter a lot. I mean, listen, he's not Peter Warrick. He ain't that type of player, but I think that was once in a lifetime.
He just get out of control sometimes.
But what I will say is, I think he's the difference between. I'm not gonna say championship or not because I don't think Florida State as a whole has a championship level. We talking about different elements, but I do think he's the difference between wins and losses. I think he will make a difference when it comes to wins and losses.
Yeah, I think he does. I think he definitely has that type of impact.
Yeah, like in other words, I'll add 2 more wins to whatever season. You know what I mean? Whatever I thought they were gonna win next season, I add 2 wins to it because he's on the team.
All right. I mean,
that's what I mean. Impact. I'm not saying he's the difference in championship. We ain't that level. I ain't talking about that.
Yeah,
I'm just saying. But yeah, no, I think he definitely is a difference maker having him on your team versus not.
All right. Well, that's my big what if. If Peter Warrick would have, if Chris Winkie doesn't get hurt, they win a national championship in '98. Does Peter Warrick come out? Does he go to the Rams? Does he have a Hall of Fame career? I think.
Share your thoughts. Definitely share your thoughts.
Let me know what y'all think about that.
Yeah, when we post it to we're gonna post it to the timeline, man. We definitely want to hear your thoughts on that one, man, because I think it's a huge what if, man. Peter, if you're listening, man, you're welcome on the show anytime, man. I want to know your thoughts on this. You know what I mean?
Man, I don't even know we'll be able to keep you under control. Like you,
I ain't gonna lie. It's very. You're right, because I got a whole bunch of questions. I got a whole bunch of stories. It's funny, man. I was a wide receiver in high school. I modeled my entire game after Peter. Like
how did that go?
Not well. I broke my ankles. I broke my own ankles several times. But I tried. I tried to do a lot of the moves. I just didn't have it.
All right. That's cool.
Hey, man, listen, we appreciate y'all listening, man. Rate, review, subscribe. We, as always, man, we appreciate. Hit that like button. Apple, iTunes, Spotify, whatever it is. We all the way. We there, man. We out.
Yo.